Why did your school decide to get involved with the Teaching for Mastery programme?
Well, going back about 2 years, we were involved with 2 maths specialist teachers on a coaching programme to improve maths in the school. It was apparent that we were doing well on reading and writing was coming up, but maths was a bit of a sticking point. My teachers didn't really know how to teach the new mastery curriculum, and so we had these 2 specialist teachers involved in a programme of joint planning, lesson observations and coaching to improve teaching of maths using the mastery approach. Following on from that, one of those specialist teachers who was part of the Maths Hub approached us to see if we would like to be involved in a project to do some teacher research and to be involved through further development of the teaching for mastery through the Maths Hub. And so we got involved from that point, which is probably about a year ago. So at that point we committed 2 teachers to join in.
Was this an easy decision for you as a head to make?
I think we had the advantage of knowing the person that was proposing to work with us through the coaching project that we'd been involved in as CPD. We liked her, the staff got on well with her, they respected her. We knew that she knew what she was talking about, and so when she approached us from the Maths Hub to see if we'd be involved, we thought it was a really good opportunity, and my maths subject leader in particular was very, very keen to go ahead, and we felt that it would be a really good next step for the school to develop maths mastery and the teaching of mastery in this school, and it would have a really good impact on our maths results.
In broad terms, what was it that you had to commit to? And I guess, did it turn out as expected?
Okay, so we had to release 2 teachers, and there was an expectation that they would attend 6 teacher meetings with other teachers in the area, and then there were 2 meetings with the maths specialist as well on top of that. So it was probably 6 half days plus another 2 half days for 2 teachers. So it was quite a big commitment in terms of release time, which we obviously had to cover back in school. And because a lot of the work was demonstration lessons and things like that, I needed to release them to do some joint planning as well. So it was a big commitment, but I think it's paid off. The teachers have come back really passionate about the teaching of mastery, with lots and lots of new ideas, which they've rolled out across the school. So it's had a really beneficial effect for us.
How did the experience develop the teachers from your school who participated in the work group?
I sent my Year 6 teacher and my Year 4 teacher, who's also my maths leader. Although she leads maths, she's fairly new to leading maths. So for her, it really developed her practice as a subject leader so that she could then share that with other staff and be confident in leading the subject. And for my maths, for my Year 6 teacher, it really focused her in on how to get the best from every child in her year group. They are both strong teachers with a lot of experience, and they're well respected in the school. So by choosing those 2 teachers, I was able to have the biggest impact on the rest of the teaching staff, because when they came back into school full of enthusiasm and dedication, commitment and passion, that went back to the rest of the teaching staff, and it was very easy to get everyone else on board with the same approach.
How is maths teaching in your school changing, or has it changed, as a result of your being in the programme? Are there any key changes you have made so far?
The teaching of maths in the school has changed massively since we've been in the programme. It's much less structured than it was before, but in a good way. What it's done is given children the headspace really to do work that they're capable of, and which the teachers might not have realised that they were capable of in the past. Traditionally, teachers would have had a 10-minute mental warm-up and then a bit of teaching input, and then the children would have been given work at a certain level depending on where the teacher felt they were. The way we teach maths now, we still do the kind of the sort of mental warm-up, the starter, and then the class input, but we have a much clearer idea of the children's starting points because we assess that in every single lesson. So before they go off and do their work, we know where they're at, and they know where they're at, and they can choose the work at the level that they need to start on. And so we found that children that would perhaps have done middle work are now choosing the top work. And so it's accelerated progress in maths across the school.
Were there any changes to where pupils sit in maths lessons?
Well, as I mentioned, we don't have a top, middle and bottom maths group anymore. We've chosen to label the work according to our values. So we have resilience, creativity, aspiration and mastery challenges, and the children self-assess with teacher guidance what level of work they can do, and so they're not sitting in their maths groups as they would have done in the past. The children are mixed up and they will continue with the work that they choose, and they'll sit where they think is the best place for them to sit. So they don't have assigned maths group places anymore. So,
are there any changes to the structure of the school day? For example, lesson timetabling?
In terms of timetabling, we've gone away from having a maths hour. So the maths session will be as long as it takes. It's generally an hour-ish, but if it takes longer, then it takes longer. And it's not necessarily at the same point every day. We do have some maths teaching in the afternoons now, which we probably wouldn't have done in the past. So it has had some impact on the maths timetabling. I would say it's not been a major impact.
Have there been any changes to lesson planning and staff collaboration?
Yeah, definitely. Our teachers do much more work together now than they did in the past. In sort of 2-3 years ago, teachers would have been doing their own planning and never have spoken to another teacher because they're in single year groups in this school. But even though there's only one teacher per year group, they are still doing much more collaborative planning than they did in the past. So the teachers work in coaching pairs and they do some planning together, they observe each other, and then they feed back in a coaching style to develop the mastery approach to teaching in the school.
Have there been any changes to marking and assessment?
Yeah, definitely. What we've done is we've set up 2 maths books now. So the children have a maths jotter, which has a light marking approach, and then we have the formal maths books, which are marked more in depth with progressive marking. So what we found is that the answer is just the beginning. So the child will answer a question, and then from that we can then give them further learning, because the teacher will skillfully draw further answers from the answer. So what the maths books look like now is completely different to how they looked 3 years ago. So 3 years ago there would probably have been 2 columns of ticked questions, lots and lots of green ticks all the way down the page. And now we don't work across, in columns. We work across the book to give the children plenty of space, and there will be fewer questions, but worked out in much more detail with teacher responses that the children then respond to as well. So it has changed markedly.
Have you dedicated any specific resources to the teaching for mastery approach?
In terms of children's resources, we were pretty well set up anyway, so we had the wide range of manipulators across the school for children to use. For supporting teacher development, the main resource has been release time, which has been funded by the programme. So on top of that, space and time, I guess, are the only things that we've really had to provide. so it's been minimal.
Fantastic. What signs of positive impact so far have you seen?
I think I can take that to answer that question in two ways. From the teacher's point of view, what we've seen is a real commitment to maths and an increasing confidence in the mastery teaching approach. Teachers are enjoying it more, and that's had a knock-on effect on the children, because we've carried out pupil voice surveys, so we've spoken to children basically, and they tell us now that they enjoy maths and they like it because it's hard, or they can choose the hard questions, they can challenge themselves, and they enjoy being able to challenge themselves, and so it's created a buzz around maths in the school, which I think has been the biggest impact of the programme.
How have you enabled staff to learn and collaborate?
We've dedicated some staff meeting time, so some CPD time, and some inset day time to the mastery approach for teaching. We hold staff workshops, so and parent workshops as well, actually. And the maths leader holds surgeries, so she'll do learning environment walks and book looks, and then feedback to staff. But also she'll have some open sessions where staff can just pop in and go through some things with her, or anything they're struggling with they can go and ask her about. So they're learning together, very much, the staff, and that's working well.
How have parents been informed, and how have parents responded?
Our maths leader, in collaboration with the other teacher that was part of the programme, they've held a couple of workshops where parents can come along and find out what the mastery approach to teaching is. And it is very different to the way that most of our parents were taught when they were at school. The mastery approach is different. And so there's been a bit of education needed there with parents, because when they come in and look at children's work, they're not seeing column after column of green ticks. So they needed to know why that was. Having said that, the ones that have come along and participate in those workshops can see the sense in it. And I think the parents are already seeing their children's confidence in maths grow at home. And so I think we haven't had any issues with parents being anti it, and the ones that have taken the time to find out about it are very in favour.
How have the pupils themselves responded?
We've seen a real shift in maths attitude across the school. The children enjoy the mastery approach to maths. They enjoy the open-ended challenges. They enjoy being able to choose their own level of work. And what we found is that every child now has the opportunity to succeed, and every child can get some questions right. And we don't find that we have children that say, I can't do maths. What we find is that children say, well, I can't do it yet, but they know that they're on that journey, and with perseverance they can get there. So I think that we still have the odd few children that that don't like maths and think they can't do it, but more and more children now are deciding, that we do like maths and we can do it, which has been great.